State the ratio used to measure the average time it takes a company to collect each AppLog customer receivable. Clear logic. Your choice collection period ratio is sound and 100% true, which is one of the elements of a financial report that describes a company's profit-loss position, namely, correct. Profit or loss report is the right answer. Below are the parties who need accounting information, especially in making decisions or company policies. Excellent. Investor is a brilliant choice. Which of the following sources of information used by analysts is found outside a company's annual report? Good thinking. Peer company analysis is the right answer. Represent advance payments made for expenses which have not yet been incurred, used, utilized, or consumed. Nice selection. Prepaid expenses is the correct and valid answer. The total amount of assets minus the total amount of liabilities will give you the worth of your business. Smart move. Owner's equity is an accurate answer. Which term refers to the amount by which the carrying amount of an asset exceeds its recoverable amount? Great job. Impairment loss is the accurate answer. If tested more than once by different parties, the results show conclusions that are not much different. Exactly. Reliable makes sense, and it is right choice. Which of the following is an example of a financing activity on the cash flow statement under US GAAP? Great thinking. Payment of dividends is the right choice. Dash provide additional information and help clarify the items presented in the financial statements. Bravo! Notes to S is the answer. Audit committee shall constitute minimum dash directors where independent directors forming majority. Perfect. 3 is the correct choice. Which of the following is not considered as an outflow in income statement? Valid point. None of the above is true. Dash is a regulatory body that is responsible to develop and regulate capital market in Malaysia. Nice work! You chose Securities Commission, and it is correct. Which of the following is not the enhancing qualitative characteristics of financial information? A. Smart pick. Relevance is the correct choice. Under IFRS, a loss from the destruction of property in a fire would most likely be classified as. Good job. Your answer continuing operations works well here. Which of the following is not a basic assumption underlying the financial accounting structure? Solid response. Historical cost assumption is a valid choice. Which basic assumption may not be followed when a firm in bankruptcy reports financial results? Excellent choice. Going concern assumption is the right answer. If an adjustment includes an entry to accumulated depreciation, which type of adjustment is it? Correct response. Deferral is the most accurate answer. Which of the following stakeholders relies on financial reports to make investment decisions? Strong choice. Shareholders is the right answer. Generally, company condition reports are routinely reported to the Board of Directors every. Well picked. Monthly is the correct answer. To meet the financial information needs of users, the elements of financial reports are dash. on track. Income is the correct answer. Based on the standards, income, expenses, and other income expenses must be reported as dash. Right again. Income from operations is a valid answer. Dash is a regulatory body that is responsible to promote monetary and financial stability. Well reasoned. Malaysian National Bank is the correct choice. The financial statements most frequently provided include all of the following except the well done. Statement of retained earnings is the right choice. Which of the following accounts will not be closed to a profit and loss summary account? Nicely done. Accumulated depreciation is a solid answer.
It was formed last 2001, which replaces the International Accounting Standards Committee.
Sharp thinking. ISB is the right choice. Private company, which is a subsidiary company of public company, shall be calculated as. You got it? Your choice, public company, is right. The financial statement that presents a shareholder's residual claim on assets is the. You're right. Balance sheet is the correct answer. Which of the following is a category, classification, or element of the balance sheet? Right choice. Liabilities is the best answer. Deferred credits will appear on the balance sheet under which heading classification? You chose liabilities, and it is correct. Which of the following is not a contributory factor towards faithful representation? Great thinking. Consistency is the right choice. Which of the following is not a component of the income statement? You chose accounts receivable, and it is correct. In case of first-time implementation of INDES, there is an option to record PPAT. Correct response. Both of the above is the most accurate answer. Which concept states that you have to report accounting info at regular intervals? Valid point. Time period is true.
Which of the following is not a qualitative characteristic of financial statements?
Excellent choice. Reliable is the right answer. Which statement tells you about the assets, liabilities, and equity of the business? Nice work. You chose balance sheet, and it is correct. Which of the following is not an assumption in preparing financial statements? Dash. Clear logic. Your choice cost is sound and 100% true. Dash company will not be counted for the purpose of maximum number of directorship. Right again, SEC8 company is a valid answer. Which statement tells you about the profit and loss of the company for the period? Perfect. Income statement is the correct choice. Which of the following is a fundamental quality of useful accounting information? Ooh. Bravo. Faithful representation is the answer. GL tie-out reconciliation must be reviewed and approved prior to what submission? Nicely done. QBs is a solid answer. Refers to the allocation of the cost of the asset over its estimated useful life. Good thinking. Depreciation is the right answer. Which of the following is not a major challenge facing the accounting profession? Solid response. Accounting for hard assets is a valid choice.
merchandise inventory method that produces high net profits when inflation occurs.
Right choice. FIFO is the best answer.
10-year bonds issued and maturing in the next 8 months will be presented at Dash.
Correct. Short-term liabilities is the right answer. The following are accounts that must be eliminated in the financial statements.
You got it? Your choice investment is right.
Revenue earned but not yet collected is an example of which of the following? On track. Accrued revenue is the correct answer.
Qualitative characteristics that make useful information more useful include:
Great job. Comparability is the accurate answer. Items that will be held for more than a year X. Equipment, trucks, buildings.
Smart pick. Fixed assets is the correct choice.
Which of the following I's will be referred to learn about cash flow statement?
Smart move. AS7 is an accurate answer. Which of the following countries adapted the requirements of IFAS for SMEs? Well picked. Brazil is the correct answer. The enhancing qualitative characteristics of financial information include: Well done. Comparability and understandability is the right choice. Which is not information presented in the statement of financial position? Sharp thinking. EBITDA is the right choice. It is prepared after adjusting entries are made and posted in the ledger. Exactly. Adjusted trial balance makes sense, and it is right choice. Which statement tells you about the financial performance of the company? Excellent. Income statement is a brilliant choice. The owner is a separate person to the business. This is based on the Dash. Nice selection. Business entity concept is the correct and valid answer.
Useful for making predictions and providing useful information to users.
Strong choice. Relevance is the right answer. It should be understandable to people with general financial knowledge. Well reasoned. Understandability is the correct choice.
Your year begins and ends any other months besides January and December.
You're right. Fiscal year is the correct answer. Anything of value that the business owns X, cash, equipment, buildings. Good job. Your answer assets works well here. Interim financial reports released by a company are most likely to be: Sharp thinking. Annotated is the right choice.
On being appointed as director, he shall file form Dash with company.
Right choice. D2 is the best answer. What financial statement assertion is not covered by FEFARO 1 and FARO 2? Well reasoned. Restricted access is the correct choice. In the transaction, financial asset is created by crediting creating. You chose profit and loss account. And it is correct.
Dash is the transfer of journalized transactions to their accounts.
Nice selection. Posting is the correct and valid answer. Free from bias and representative. Nice work. You chose reliability, and it is correct. It shows the financial condition of the entity as at a certain date. Correct response. Statement of financial position is the most accurate answer.
An expenditure which benefits only the current period is known as.
Clear logic. Your choice revenue expenditure is sound and 100% true.
Your 1-year period begins on January 1st and ends December 31st.
Great job. Calendar year is the accurate answer. Accounting standards result from the interaction of factors dash. Valid point. All true is true. On which financial statement would the dividends account appear? 4. Right again. Retained earnings statement is a valid answer.
Which of the following is the current value measurement basis?
Excellent. All of the above is a brilliant choice.
The following types of companies are service companies except.
Exactly. Drugstore makes sense and it is right choice.
Petty cash method, where journalizing is done when replenishing.
Smart pick. Impressed funds system is the correct choice.
Rent paid in advance is an example of which of the following? Good job. Your answer deferred expense works well here.
What are the financial statement assertions covered by FR 21? You're right. Completeness and accuracy is the correct answer.
Which of the following has the highest authoritative support?
Oh. Perfect. International Financial Reporting Standards is the correct choice. What is the limit of number of directors in a public company? On track. 10 is the correct answer.
Which of the following expenditures is a capital expenditure?
Well done. Purchase of plant is the right choice. Which of the following is an ethical concern of accountants? Excellent choice. Earnings manipulation is the right answer.
Disqualification of a director is specified in section dash.
Well picked. Sec 164 is the correct answer.
The main revenue generating activity of the company is dash.
Bravo. Operational activities is the answer.
International accounting standards are used as a result of.
Smart move. A, B, C Benar is an accurate answer. The primary users of general-purpose financial reports are.
Nicely done. Investors and lenders is a solid answer.
Casual vacancy of a woman director shall be filled by dash.
Strong choice. BM or is the right answer.
What is my Dayco's market to book ratio at the end of 2019?
Great thinking. 2.99 is the right choice.
Which of the following is not? Apple's operating income dash.
You got it? Your choice consultant is right.
Which of the following accounts is not a current asset?
Correct. Land is the right answer.
Accounting Standards Council was created in what year?
Good thinking. 1981 is the right answer.
A block of time covered by an accounting report is.
Solid response. Accounting period is a valid choice.
Audit committee is meant for dash of the company. Smart move. Shareholders is an accurate answer.
The fundamental qualitative characteristics are.
Nice work. You chose relevance and faithful representation, and it is correct.
Which financial report content can be customized?
You're right. Slip is the correct answer.
Which is not a category of company fixed assets.
Sharp thinking. Palette is the right choice. Interpretations Committee was established when?
Perfect. 2000 is the correct choice.
What is an entity-specific aspect of relevance?
Well done. Materiality is the right choice. What group that was created last November 1991? Good thinking. None of the above is the right answer. The conceptual framework is not a template for.
Great job. Auditor a PIP is the accurate answer.
Which of the following uses the full phrase?
Right choice. Large or publicly accountable entities is the best answer.
Interest expense should be presented as dash.
Smart pick. Financial burden is the correct choice. As per IND, as 12 deferred tax is created on. Bravo. Temporary differences is the answer. Financial reports must be presented on time.
Strong choice. Relevant is the right answer.
Qualitative characteristics of information. Well reasoned. Understandability is the correct choice. The amount your business owes to creditors. Clear logic. Your choice accounts payable is sound and 100% true. Who is responsible for establishing IFRS? Great thinking. AASP is the right choice. Which module could not generate a report? Valid point. Inbound email is true. How many financial statements are there? Exactly. 3 makes sense, and it is right choice. Bank overdraft is generally presented as. You chose short-term liabilities, and it is correct.
Removal of directors can be done by dash. On track. B and C is the correct answer.
What was MyDeco's gross margin in 2019? Good job. Your answer 0.51 works well here. Journal entry of cash purchase would be.
Excellent choice. Debit purchase, credit cash is the right answer.
Replaced the Interpretations Committee. Correct response. Pick is the most accurate answer.
Unearned revenue is a dashed account.
Excellent. Liability is a brilliant choice. The amount customers owe your business.
Nicely done. Accounts receivable is a solid answer.
What is not a service company is. Nice selection. Drugstore is the correct and valid answer. What is not a type of company is.
You got it. Your choice private company is right.
Depreciation is a top process. Correct. Cost allocation is the right answer.
Accrual concept is based on.
Well picked. Matching principle is the correct answer. The debts of the business. Right again. Liabilities is a valid answer. Which is correct? Solid response. AS 12 income taxes is a valid choice.
how you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format?
You're right. Contact Narayan Changder is the correct answer.